Warning, this podcast may contain bad language, content, and films that some listeners may find offensive, and poor direction, and bad acting, and various other qualms of podcasting.
I mean, I haven't done my spoiler alert, but it sounds like you've just spoiled the film. Or at least your views on it.
Nope. I was just talking about Selena's intro.
Welcome to Seesaw Podcast.
With your hosts, T, Cleves, and Selena.
Every week, bringing some much-needed balance and humour to brighten up what can sometimes be a dark, disabled world.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Seesaw. And we are all here. Hi, Selena.
Hello.
Hi, Cleves.
Hello. My name is Elder Cleves.
What's
Book
that?
of Mormon there.
Yeah.
Wow, references. Oh, how are we all doing?
Good.
Yep, good.
Great. Perfect.
I got a new bed. It's sick. It has a TV in the bottom.
I've always wanted one of those.
Yeah, man. You press the little button. It's like...
And it comes out. Yeah, I've seen those.
Oh, mate. So good.
Your fancy bed.
I sort of said to my dad, I was like, oh, do you want to come round? We'll go out for some food. We'll have a beer. Not seen you in a while. He's like, yeah, cool. I was like, oh, by the way, you need to help me build this bed. He was cool with it. He's a good guy.
How was the assembling?
The assembling was actually fine. The hardest part was actually screwing the TV to the bracket, weirdly. Other than that, yeah, fine.
Nice. Well, I have seen your new bed, and it's wonderful.
It's luxurious.
Yes.
I regret nothing.
To the point that my wife wants one, but at the same time, it's really hard to convince them to not sell you a mattress at the same time. And I've already got a really good mattress, so.
Well, yeah, you could get the bed frame.
Yeah, but they're really funny. The place you got it from, they really want to push that mattress on you.
No, they do.
They're
also,
yeah,
the amount of shit you got in your room, I'm not sure you've actually got the room for it. It's amazing how much space it actually takes up. Because the actual TV part at the end is quite bulky, the footboard.
It's around 0.5 meter wide. It's got to be around that.
Do you know how big 0.5 meter is?
About that. People on camera.
0.5 meter, yeah.
I think half a meter.
Yeah, the actual footboard. Yeah, it probably is about that, actually, yeah. A couple of foot, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, nearly 2 foot wide.
Chunky.
Yeah. Because you've got to get a TV in there, of course.
On the bright side, before this podcast, we said we wouldn't get laid with absolute garbage at all.
Let's be concise, I said.
Yeah.
Let's get ready for a two-parter, baby.
No, we're not doing that.
Selena,
okay.
Any feedback?
Yes, it's been a while. So, I mean, it's difficult now to do this feedback when I've been in episodes myself. So I don't feel like I can feedback on myself. It's just
why? I think you should. If you turn around and go, I didn't like what I said there.
Past Selena is an idiot. This is what I really meant.
Yeah, this is your one chance.
Nah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm noticing more that you guys aren't as nice to me anymore. Generally.
Bonus, yes, one of the team.
But obviously you've got your new intro and music and everything, and at first I thought, oh, why did you change it? Why? I really liked it before. I liked the enthusiasm, and now it's gone very mature. I think the best word for it. I think you've developed and evolved. I feel like the seesaw's gone from the little boy and girls playground, you know, those little seesaws with like the animals on it, and like a horse head on one side or something, and now you've got a proper grown-up seesaw with no little fancy animals. You've moved to the big playground, and it's all very serious and grown up now, but it's all right. I'm getting used to it.
I'll take that.
I don't know what to think about that, because you basically just go, yeah, you're a childish piece of shit, and now you're grown up to be a more grown up kind of boring piece of shit.
Not boring, but
I like to think
bit,
we've.
Yeah, I didn't. No. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. It was all very welcome to the Seesaw podcast with that emphasis, and now it's a bit more mellow when you with your intro.
but the original intro was more mellow. Then we went super over the top with it.
Mm.
And then we just dialed it back a little bit.
Yeah. You've reined it in.
Maybe we'll redo it again with.
So briefly for the social media outtake, Cleves, do you want to explain to the listeners why we changed our music outside of just changing it up?
Oh, we just felt like we needed to change.
It had nothing to do with the previous music being copyright struck on YouTube several times.
No. No, nothing to do with that.
No, absolutely nothing to do with the now up to 52 copyright strikes on our YouTube channel.
There's not 52 copyright strikes. It's fucking bullshit. You told me it was like 4.
Yeah, it's gone up. It's gone up. Every time I go on there's another episode that's been striked.
Oh dear.
To their credit,
What is it with people wanting credit and money for the music that they've created?
Mm.
to their
God
credit, no
damn
one
it.
watches the YouTube enough for them to actually care, and they have already said that they don't care. But they do still flag it as their material.
I'm going to contact them directly and go, hey, bro, if I give you a shout out, can we have your music? And we'll go back. Maybe we'll do a Seesaw Classic featuring classic music and intros and passion.
Yeah, well,
Wait.
apparently we need that.
Maybe we should just redo it, but with like super more emphasis. Maybe that'll come next week.
Super more emphasis.
Shut your goddamn mouth, all right?
Okay. Okay.
It's just as stupid. It's just the intro slightly better aligned.
Right. Great. Let's be concise and move on. So, new series this week.
Oh, do you not want to do QBN?
Have you got QBN?
Oh, I've got some sweet QBN.
Okay. Hit the music.
Right. Actually, it's not that good. I'm sorry. I kind of lied. Just that blind ice hockey is a thing I found out. Happens in Oxford. There's only like one team. Apparently, it's been going quite a while, but I just thought I'd shout it out. Boom. Blind ice hockey. If you live in Oxford, any other part of the country, you're pretty fucked. But if you want to give skating a go, that's the place. I'd love to try that, man.
Seesaw road trip.
It's a long way.
Play some blind hockey. Selena, do you have any QBN?
I do not.
Neither do I.
Great. Do you want to quickly just run through the wearing today? I don't know if we're doing that as a general thing now.
If we've got time.
Right, quickly today. I'm Cleves, and I'm wearing this great hoodie with this. It's a Quicksilver hoodie. It's got a little Quicksilver emblem on the pocket. Blue jeans, bang, done.
This is T. Apparently, because we're saying our names now. I'm wearing a white jumper, blue jeans, and a grey flat cap.
Okay. And Selena, and I realised before I never gave a description of my physical appearance, which you did on previous episodes. So for the listeners out there, I am like 5'3", got dark hair. I'm a South Asian background, so brown
We
skin.
said concise.
Anyway, I'm in Grinch pajamas, even though I've never seen the film Grinch.
Oh, nice. Okay. Is yours thing going to be like, do I have to do like a pajama intro, like with T's hat?
Pretty much, yeah.
Pajamas. I'm sure there's a pajama song out there.
Yeah, bananas and pajamas.
Okay.
Get copyrighted for that one as
Yeah.
well.
I
Probably.
would definitely get stuck with that
I
one.
don't know what you're talking about. No, nothing was struck. Go on then, T. Speaking of intros that no one's stolen music for, what is today's topic of the week?
Okay. Today's topic / show is called Watching in the Dark.
Really?
Is it?
Come out with a new one then.
I called it, well, on the episode that
Did
you
you name it
claimed
then?
to have listened to, but blatantly didn't.
I did.
I pitched Seesaw Seenema.
Okay, Seesaw
Oh, yeah.
Cinema. Okay.
That's better. That's better.
That's a much better. Okay.
Look, either way.
I didn't listen to that. Okay, Seesaw Cinema. I cut all of this shit.
And now here is the music for it.
Okay, so with Seesaw Cinema, that's gonna be. It's really awkward to say. This week's
Cinema
film.
Saw?
No, I prefer the first one.
Cinema Saw sounds a little bit like Hakuna Matata.
It
It's a
sounds like,
wonderful phrase if you're blind.
it's like a dinosaur that they discovered, but like it turns out it's the size of a hen and no one cares.
Or do you think he's Cinemasaurus? Let's go. Let's just carry on.
Concise.
Just keep going.
Concise.
Just keep going.
Come on.
Keep going. Keep going.
So, this new show, we are going to be watching a film and bringing it to you all and going over the accessibility side of it as far as audio description. This is your warning for the episode. I am going to ruin the entire film in the next 2 to 3 minutes. So if you have not seen it, go away. Watch it and then come back.
Let's start with the name of the film, which is
The Pale Blue Eye.
nice eye-related thing.
Yes. Netflix. You can get it on Netflix. 2002 film.
2002.
2022.
Really?
I was going to say
Oh,
Jesus. I was like,
yeah.
what? I thought it was
2022.
up to date with
Sorry,
that shit.
my
Okay.
notes are just bollocks.
All right, okay.
2 hours and 8 minutes long. A lot longer than
2008 minutes.
2 hours and 8 minutes.
Oh God. Okay. All right.
Nice. It is starring Christian Bale as well as Harry Melling, who is a very young actor. And this film,
What about Robert Duvall?
Yes,
Timothy Spall.
Robert Duvall is in that as well. Yes. Okay.
And many more.
And many, many, many more. Okay. So, second warning. I am going to ruin the entire film for you now. So, a former police officer played by Christian Bale, known as Landor, is
Nandor.
Okay. Is brought in to investigate a mysterious and gruesome murder at a army cadet academy.
Should pretty much point out at this point it's based in 1830 New York.
Yes, that isn't actually on my notes, but very well put.
Because otherwise,
Yes,
it just sounds like there's a policeman, in 2022.
18. Yeah. So there's been a grisly murder. The murder was a young man was hung.
Fry.
Yep, Leroy Fry.
Is that his name?
Yep, and
Happy with
his
that accent?
heart was cut out, surgically removed, essentially. If you want more details, watch the bloody film. So he's been hung, his heart's been cut out, and the investigation begins. The character Landor is assisted by another cadet who is a poet, who is Edgar Allan Poe in this film. We'll talk about that.
Can we also point out that the person that hires him to do the investigation is called Hitchcock?
We'll talk about all of these names.
Right.
So, he conscripts another cadet to help with the investigation. The investigation involves him questioning other cadets, Poe also ingraining himself and trying to get information out of the other cadets. Some animal corpses are found in the same manner. The hearts are being cut out, nailed to trees. During the investigation, Poe falls in with a group of young men and falls for the sister of one of those young men named Leah, who is the female interest, who has a sickness which causes fits. I will not assume that it's epilepsy. There are other conditions that do cause fits, but this is 1830, so
Everything was epilepsy.
everything was epilepsy.
Everything was the devil.
Yep.
Devil got in him.
During the investigation, a lot of occultist ritual, an occultist ritual site is discovered, as well as other parts to deal with the occult, books, other investigations on that way, I guess. The daughter who Poe has fallen for is of the doctor who examined the corpses. And during a dinner with the investigating people, Landor and Poe, they soon discover that the family is in cahoots with the occult because conventional medicine is not helping their daughter. And the doctor has turned a blind eye, or, don't say he encouraged, but he turned a blind eye to the whole occultists, like talking to the devil, hell, all that sort of thing to try and cure his daughter, which requires human hearts.
Obviously.
Yep. Then we move on. Poe is coerced or drugged. They don't really explain what happens to him. But essentially, he's going to be sacrificed to save the life of this woman that he has fallen in love with over the space of around 2 weeks. We'll go into that. Landor,
you know.
Landor saves him at the last minute. Leah and her brother, who is also in cahoots with this, a fellow cadet, they die in a fire. The parents are not charged with murder because they just allowed it to happen, apparently. So we'll get into that.
And that's the end of the film, I hear you say.
Oh no, there is there's a twist. M. Night Shyamalan. Poe discovers that the notes found in the hand of the first cadets was in the same handwriting as a note left to him by Landor to meet him.
And his familiar Guillermo.
Yes. He then deduces that Landor was involved in this whole escapade. And essentially the story unfolds that Landor's daughter was raped by 3 cadets. One of them was the gentleman who was hung. There is another victim during the film who was another one of those. He murdered them. And it just so happens that Leah took advantage of the dead corpse to steal a heart. It wasn't actually murder. And at the end, Poe burns the notes. I will say that Landor's daughter killed herself as well. That's why he's distressed, because of the rape. And she killed herself.
Yep.
And that's why he wanted revenge. And then at the end of the film, he goes back to the site of the suicide and then cut to black, Soprano style.
Hey, no, he lets the ribbon light float away.
He did let the ribbon float away. Yeah. He did.
That was like him letting go of everything.
Yes. Did he die? We don't know. Cuts to black, Soprano style.
The real question is, could Esteban made a better job of what you just did?
Absolutely. I have very concise notes here, and I absolutely butchered it. But get used to that. Concise, baby. Concise.
I think that was a fairly accurate retelling.
I've got a confession to make.
Oh, I swear to God, if you've not watched this film, I'm going to be pissed.
I watched half an hour and gave up, so I'm glad you now told me the rest of the story.
Oh my God! You're worse than him.
I tried twice.
Weeks to watch this film, and Joni watched it. He watched it fucking last night.
Still
I tried twice. I didn't like it. Okay. I couldn't get into it.
Okay, I mean, well, that's a good start. Let's start there. Why did you detest it so much that you tried twice and just thought, nope?
It's just a bit weird. It was a bizarre. I don't know why this is like so well rated. Obviously, it's got a lot of big actors in it, but I don't know. It's just like, okay, what am I watching here? Does this interest me? I keep switching off from what they're saying. They're kind of whispering. It's all very, intense. And yeah, I just, do I care? I don't know.
Well, you say it was popular. It was popular at the time that I pitched it. It was number 2 after the original Wrong Thing that T pitched to me.
Here we go. Put your foot in.
Since
It's gone down.
Since then, it no longer features in Netflix top 10 movies, and it's only been 2 weeks.
I am not surprised.
Okay, here's my initial thought, and I have to say this because I've been trying not to say it to Cleves. Christian Bale, if you can't play an Englishman, don't even fucking try. Your accent was atrocious. At one point, you sounded Australian. Sort out your accent. It was horrible. I hated his voice. I hated it. He's worse than Mel Gibson in Braveheart.
What if he talks like this?
I mean,
at least Landor, and I'm secretly the bad man.
I mean, at least it'd be consistent. It was terrible. I hated his voice. I hated his acting. Christian Bale.
His acting was all right.
I think the supporting guy who played Poe was a lot better.
I actually enjoyed Poe.
I think it was a lot better character.
Yeah.
And my husband pointed out to me that that's Dudley off of Harry Potter.
Yes. Yep.
I was like, wow. If you didn't tell me that, I had no idea.
Yeah. Really good. And considering this is one of it was, he's playing against Christian Bale. Fair play to the lad. Hopefully he's going to have a good career from this.
Actually, just on that point, going back, I didn't realize you'd watched it with your husband, Selena.
Mhm. Was that not
he-
allowed? Was that not?
No,
in
no,
your
no, no, no,
voice?
no, no. My question was going to be: Was he into it more than you, or did you just go, "I'm bored of this. We're switching it off"?
No, no, no. I did say you can carry on watching it if you want. And he's like, I'm not bothered.
Fair. Okay.
Please, what were your thoughts?
Look, this is what happened. I was quite into the first half an hour,
Mm-hmm.
then it lost me.
Right.
Then I came back at the last half an hour. What I did in the hour between that, I couldn't quite tell you. I'm pretty sure I was on my phone. But to me now, this is a mark of a good film if I don't pick up my phone. And maybe that's the society we live in. Maybe that says something about me as a person. I don't know. But if a film can keep my attention for like an hour and a half and I'm not in a cinema, then that's a good film. And do you know what? This one, I didn't hate it. I did think it was half an hour too long.
Yeah, absolutely.
That bit in the middle probably could have been chopped down substantially.
Yep.
But I didn't hate it. It was fine.
Yeah. I agree. I thought it was very slow.
Oh God, it was slow.
It was very slow. It had no right being 2 hours and 8 minutes. I don't know why films feel they have to break the 2 hour mark now. Used to be a film aimed for 90 minutes. This could have been a 90-minute film. All of them now, after Disney started churning out stuff, want to get over the 2 hour mark. It's not necessary. I did pay attention throughout the entirety of it. As you said, I watched it last night. But
in a way, I'll hold my hand up. That's possibly better because you're more fresh to the meeting.
And I paid attention because I knew that if I didn't retain the fact, you would rinse me for it.
Absolutely. I mean, I watched it 2 weeks ago, and I watched the first 20 minutes of it last night just to get more of a bearing of it.
Yeah. So I put full attention into it, and it was tough. I actually stopped halfway, went down and made myself a chicken wrap, and then came back and carried on. Like, I had to go and re-energize.
Because I'm getting tired. You need to fuel up.
I did, and I also got a little bowl of crisps as well to munch on, so I had something to do. I think it is a very average film.
Mate, if I was watching this in the cinema, and people that know me, I'm notorious for this anyway.
You would have fallen asleep.
Oh God, yeah. Probably within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
There's something about the cinema. It's just nice and warm. It's dark. It's cozy. I just think, oh, it's time for a nap.
Sooner would have dragged her husband out, apparently.
Yeah.
We're going to Nando's. Finish your
I think
popcorn.
it's for a certain clientele, that film. It's not for your mass audience.
I'll tell you what clientele it's for. Netflix watchers, because it's murdery. Everything on
Yeah.
Netflix is murdery.
Yeah. Bloody murder. Okay. So, before we move on to accessibility, very quickly, what would we give this out of 5 disableds? Take in mind, 5 disabled is bad. We do a
What?
reverse scale.
Oh, right,
here.
because that's really, really disabled. Right, get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the film in itself, what do you give it out of 5? 1's the best, 5's the worst.
I would give it a 3.2.
3.2. Okay.
Which is a really weird scale now that we've said 5's the worst, because it's the no,
Yeah, it's the opposite.
slightly towards the bad side.
Okay.
Mm.
Even I had to think about it.
Yep.
What I really wanted to say was 2.8.
Okay. 2.8. All right. Fine. Selena.
Since it was a DNF, I think I'm going to have to give it a full 5.
Bloody hell. I'm going to put this all on the website as well. I'm going to make a new page, and it's just going to be film ratings.
What? Okay, just to get a bit of context. What do you know? Firstly, do you normally watch a lot of films? Because some people just don't. And secondly, if you do, what sort of films do you enjoy?
I don't watch as many films as I used to. Oh, yeah. I mean, the last thing I saw in the cinema was Disney. Encanto.
Oh, I think you said The Lion King in 1994 or something.
Seen that as well, the live version at the cinema. Very
Yeah.
disappointing. Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, I'm glad we can all agree on that.
Fucking
Yeah.
terrible.
Okay.
Getting the
Okay.
bin
So, yeah,
Beyonce.
I think modern day rather than 1830s, that the setting kind of did me over a little bit on this one.
Preferably
I
animated.
struggle with that the kind of thing.
Okay. In a couple of months' time, if we do this again,
Something a bit more modern.
Maybe the latest Pixar thing or something, because not
Yeah.
all of them are winners now.
Yeah, that's fair. So for my rating, I'm just gonna go 3 disabled.
Straight down the line.
I thought it was fine. It was boring. It was too long, but some of the parts of it were really good. I think.
I quite enjoyed the bit at the end where Landor turned out to be the killer, the
I think
initial killer.
I
shall we
didn't
say.
see that happening, and I liked that
Mm.
because it wasn't that telegraphed, and I did like it.
Poe was a good character. The
Yeah, Harry
backstory of
Melling-
Landor was quite cool.
Really good, like really good character. So I think that alone brings it up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been a 4. I think if it wasn't for the acting, I probably wouldn't have rated it as high as I did, and even then, that's a 3.
Mm.
It gets the middle of the road from me.
It's still confusing, this system.
And yeah, that's taken in mind. I hated Christian Bale's accent.
It's definitely not as bad as Russell Crowe's when he was Robin Hood.
It's not, but
That's
it's
probably the
close.
benchmark.
It's close.
All right, fine.
Okay, accessibility.
Based on the half an hour that you watched.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So here are the topics.
Opens on a cold river.
We are going to
Let's
go-
at the first bullet point. What's your first one on this?
So, did we think the audio description was adequate based on these following categories? Did we find the story easy to follow with the audio description?
Are you gonna? Are we just gonna start with this one? And yeah, that's okay. That's fine. Let's do this one. Here's what I have to say about the film in general. And Selena, as you only watched what, a fifth of the film, but you probably wouldn't have gleaned this.
Practically a quarter.
Yeah. To be fair, yeah. All right, yeah, that's good. I'll hold my hands up. By and large, it's quite a talky film.
Mm-hmm.
So the audio description in terms of describing the story narrative, there wasn't a lot there, but they didn't necessarily need to be a lot there. It described a lot of the scenes as they were about to come up, like, oh, cut to blah blah in a tavern.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't mind it from that perspective.
Yeah.
I imagine Selena only got to see one scene when they're out in the snow and some guys got hanged. So I don't know whether there was a scene cut.
I mean, this is more for Selena in the sense that I could actually see this a little bit more. I was able to watch this a little bit. So as far as the story, up to the point that where you gave up, Selena, how did you find? Could you follow the narrative basically?
Yeah, right. I get that, the guy was hung and then we're trying to find out who's murdered him. Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
That's established pretty early on, luckily.
Okay. Yeah. But that's good. Like, okay, we'll move
And
on.
I got that, Lando got Edgar to come and help him. So
Okay.
Yep.
solve
man.
it. And
This
that's
story,
where I got.
yeah, fair. This story kicks off. It gets a lot of things together pretty early.
It's strong. It's a quick starter, and then it stops. But enough about the actual film. So, we've already stepped into this scene setting. Was the audio description good for scene setting? Did we feel it did a good job of describing?
I felt it did. It had audio description is always going to have this problem. You have to cram it in between the actors talking. I feel it did do a good job, but you're looking at a man that can see part of it.
Now, I disagree. I agree with what you're saying about cramming stuff in, but there are opportunities, and the cadet uniforms were quite unique looking. And I think that gives a bit more context, especially with the time frame of being 1830. That doesn't mean a lot to people unless you're into your history. Like, they had big, like, visored hats, like the hats were big and visored, button-up shirts, that sort of thing. They did nothing. There was nothing. And I'm not saying describe what every character's wearing, but this is a uniform that a lot of characters were wearing. It's very iconic. Giant hats. The hats were huge. And it did nothing to do that. So when you've got like troops walking along where it says, oh, a bunch of cadets walk past as Landor's going to blah, blah, blah. Like, it's easier to picture if they say, oh, they have huge hats with like a big rim on them and they're carrying muskets, they've got button-up shirts. There wasn't enough there for me to know that this is, if I couldn't see it, I'd be like, okay, you've told me this is a military cadet training camp. But it would have set the scene a bit more. And there were silent moments where they could have done that.
But okay, based on that, I had a question in my own mind, sort of maybe 45 to an hour through. I thought to myself, and I'm hoping you'll be able to answer this, Lena. If I had little to no sight, would I know it was set in 1830s? Because I don't think it was ever explicitly said on the audio description.
No, I wasn't actually aware until you just told me it was set in the 1830s. I realised it was the old days.
Okay, grand.
But just from the way they were talking, it's like, you don't talk like that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it was older. But no, I had no idea about these uniforms that they were wearing. I'm going to say it. I'll say it now. The audio describer was American, and so it's an obviously American audio describer film. A lot of films, like in today's day and age, like Americans will have their audio describers, the Brits will have their audio describers. So we have different versions of audio description for the same film. I don't know if maybe British audio describers did, you know, talk about appearances and costumes more than our American friends.
Right,
One for future.
Yeah. Must have been hard for you to say that.
What's your next point? Go on.
So the next point, action sequences.
There weren't a great deal of them
No,
in this.
But I will also criticize the audio description here. There is a fight scene that happens halfway through.
Are we talking about the bit with the fire and the cutting the heart out bit?
No.
Okay, sorry.
It's the one prior to this, because Poe has fallen in love with this woman after 2 weeks. Get it together, mate. Another cadet is jealous and basically bum rushes him when he's walking home. And the audio description says, oh, the cadet knocks him over and he hits him. And I'm like, right, okay, that's fine. But then I can see enough to know that he didn't just hit him. He hit him like 4 or 5 times in the face. There was no context to it. There was no like, there was no vocal work happening, no dialogue. And he picked up a rock. And then the first thing you know about the rock is like, oh, he drops his rock. And it's like, okay, you say that at the end, but that would have made a lot of context if you knew if he'd hit him 4 or 5 times.
And what if Dwayne Johnson was starring in the film? It'd just been really confusing.
It would have been. Exactly. But he hits him 4 or 5 times. I went back and re-watched it, and then he picks up a rock. So, of course, he's got like that. That's an like escalation of intent. But you don't find that out until afterwards. So it took the suspense out of the fight. I was just like, oh, just a couple of rough housing sort of thing. Oh, he's just jealous. But when you find out he dropped the rock afterwards, it's like, oh, he was trying to kill him, like with a rock.
How do you feel about when there's like a fight scene, right? And someone audio describes something because there's a gap, but it hasn't quite happened yet.
Yeah.
Like, there was a bit, I think, in the fire scene, and it's like a piece of burning lumber falls on Leah's head or something like that.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
next thing you're like, ah! And you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
well, that just
2 or 3
happened.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually the next thing. I'm not going to ask you about action sequences, because you didn't get that far into it. But timing, I think that's also really important for audio description. Timing. Did they fit it in properly? Did they get what they needed to in where they needed to?
I think they did okay with the scene sets, because from someone that can see it a little bit, you know when a scene flicks. And you can tell from the audio description, you can hear them describing it, even though the previous scene is still on, and then it flicks to the next scene. And a lot of the time, the next scene starts with someone talking straight away. So where else have you got to put it in? So that's fine. I get that. In terms
I think again with it being American, they tend to talk a lot faster with their audio description. I don't know if this one did. I don't think I noticed it as much on this particular film, but normally, like, I watched Glee in the past, and that they can talk really, really quick, their audio describers, to tell you as much as possible.
Just to be clear, you said Glee, right?
I said Glee.
Okay. Do you want me to edit that out, or?
I never got to the final series or anything. It was early.
Oh, right. Okay. What a brag.
Well, I think the timing was fine, personally. I think
Okay.
they did an adequate job. Already, yeah, I've made my point on like the scene setting. I think they could have done a lot more there. In the quieter times, they had 2 hours and 8 minutes to put in a lot of scene setting, which they could have definitely done, would have made it more interesting. But I think they did fine. They're not the worst that I've encountered at all. And then the last one, delivery. How did we find the narrator?
I'm glad you put this in because I was waiting for this. It sounded like it basically sounded like Esteban with an American accent. Like,
Yes.
and in the next scene, he has gone to a tavern.
Yeah, it's very detached.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there was anyone human doing the audio description or whether they'd literally someone had written it down.
I believe it was. I can't remember the name, but I recall at the end it said audio description delivered by the company and then read by, and it was a person.
Yeah. Well, I'd say I apologize, but I don't. Like, maybe work on the humanization and fluidity of your delivery.
Yeah. If you convey emotion with your audio description, you can add to a moment.
No, but that's the thing. You
Do we
don't
want
want
that?
to influence. Yeah, you're there to deliver certain information, the facts. We don't want your opinion.
I
It's-
get that, but like, I'd like it to be a little bit more intense when things are intense, and I don't know.
I find it takes me out of it. If you have a really tense scene, I'm not saying they have to be like, whoa, like that, but like,
There's a scary child ghost.
but I think that there is a certain amount of like nuance they can do to try and, I'm not saying they have to ham it up, but I think you have to lead with the scene and the context of it. Not to the point where you're doing voices or weird shit, but like, if you're robotic during like a very tense scene, like where Landor was looking for evidence around the doctor's house, it kind of takes the tension out of it. Because like, oh, this robot lady's here with me.
I think robot is probably the operative word because I didn't feel like, maybe this is down to opinion, but even when they're like setting the scene, it's like, and now Landor is in a bar, he's in a tavern and he's at a table talking to Poe. And I'm like, that's kind of how it was read. But it didn't feel like a human was reading it. It could have gone, and now Lando's in a bar and he's at a tavern. And maybe that's worse for people. I don't know. Maybe that's personal opinion.
Yeah, maybe that is. But I mean, we'll cover more films down the line. we'll see how this trends.
I wonder though as well, like with the audio describers, I think they just got their script and they're reading their lines. They don't have a clue what's happening in the film. She never watched the film. That woman who did the audio description, she's just gone in there, reeled off these lines, job done.
That'd be very interesting to know, I think.
Future guest, maybe. Okay, concise. Overall rating, our second rating.
We're rating it again.
Yeah,
Huh?
out of 5 disabled, audio description, how do you rate it?
Oh,
I'd give it
gone.
no. Oh, okay. I'd give it a 3. Straight down the line.
Selena?
I am debating. I think I'm gonna go 3.5. No, wait, the other way. So
See, it's
good.
confusing.
Yeah, 2.5. 2.5. It was
2.5.
it was better than average. Oh yeah.
I'm going to give it 3.5.
Oh, you were not keen.
I think generally it was fine, but it's the whole scene setting thing that's really like stuck in my craw. It really has, because there was a lot of opportunity. It was a fucking long film, and there's a lot of opportunity to set a lot of scenes. And like you said, Selena, you didn't even know it was an 1830.
No, but I didn't. You know what you don't know doesn't matter. I didn't realize I was missing out. So
Yeah, but it's contextual, isn't it? It's good to know the world that this film's in, so you can engross yourself.
I don't know. That's kind of a good point. Are you going to enjoy it for different things if you don't know the context?
I think context is everything, and audio description.
I don't think it is. I mean,
audio description is there to give you the context.
Yeah. but Selena didn't like it either way.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the film John Wick, if they said at the beginning that John Wick is wearing a chef's outfit, it changes the entire films. But he's just wearing a chef's outfit for no reason.
I
You know
thought
what I
the
mean?
opening scene where she described the guy hanging from a noose and his legs, you know, up and whatever. I went like, oh, that's a bit
That
of
was
a
well done.
Okay.
Yeah,
yeah,
that was well done.
opener that hit you rather than it going, this must have been happening in the 1830s and then this thing, and it's like, it hit you.
True. But
Okay.
I'm getting hung up on the uniforms and like some of the scene setting and stuff like that. I think that there could have been a little bit more there. Like with the doctor's house, it was very extravagant. It wasn't so much a house as it was a manor.
Well, this
Yeah, I
okay.
got
Again,
the
this is.
doctor's
Do we
house.
need this? This is
Yeah.
what I mean. Like, this is why we have Selena here, because she's got this whole different view on things. Maybe we don't need it.
Okay, fair enough. Final point. Would you recommend this to a visually impaired person?
No person.
Oh, the first one we've done. It's a no from Selena on all fronts.
If you're asking me the same question, I would wholeheartedly agree with Selena. I would not recommend this film, unless no. In fact, no.
Now, I have recommended it to my wife because she's
she
into
loves
her
the merch.
crime
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So I think my wife would get some joy out of this, but I think I'm also going to say no. I'm also going to say no. I don't think it's a great film. I don't think it's a bad film. I think your description was fine, erring on a bit of the bad side, but I don't know.
I think the biggest problem we had encountered was probably from the off, in the sense that no film was chosen and someone had to pick one last minute whilst he was editing the podcast.
Oh, piss off. And on that note, let us know at let us know at the links coming up. You flustered me, you dick. Let us know your opinions, please.
If you've watched it, I apologize. Hopefully, most people have only just done a Selena.
Yep. Until next time, we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thank you for listening to Seesaw Podcast. Your feedback and comments mean a lot to us, so if you'd like to get in touch, you can do so in the following ways.
You can find us on Twitter at Seesaw Pod, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Seesaw Podcast. And you can also join us at seesawpodcast.com.
Remember to like, rate, review, and share with a friend.
This podcast was recorded in front of a blind audience.